From the YBA Phoenix Fitness 24/7 basketball facility in Rockland, California, it's Bout That Life podcast with your host, Coach C.Collins and Coach MJ.
Get it started. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Hey, welcome to Bout That Life podcast. I'm your host, Coach C.Collins. Coach MJ is not here for this episode, so it's just me. But again, thank you for those guys who've been supporting from day one, who've been doing their thing, who've been, on the Patreon, my sponsors, Dr. Dish, Hardwood Palace, everybody, courtside, West Coast Takeover. Thank you guys again for tuning in, for listening, whether you're checking me out on YouTube, live on Twitch. I know Joe puts us on Twitch sometimes, or if you listening to us on any audio platform, it's much appreciated. You guys know the deal on About That Life podcast. We talk a little bit of life, a little bit of politics, but mainly towards AAU basketball and the culture of a hoop and how to progress and how to get better at it. So again, if you're tuning in, if this is your first time listening, welcome. If this is your first time checking it out, appreciate you, taking the time to listen. It's always a process, and we're always trying to make it better and better and get people out there learning how the game works and what to do and what not to do, especially in this AAU world where it's getting crazier and crazier and crazier. I just try to give my insight and tips for those who are willing to listen. And I love bringing in people and guests who've walked this line and walked this path. So, appreciate you checking me out. Also, feel free to hit the subscribe and like button. It obviously helps with the algorithm. Right now, we're at like 280 or something like that, trying to get to 300. Like I said, it's a small goal, but it's my goal. But for sure, on the audio side, we're growing, but I want to grow on this YouTube side. So appreciate you if you could help me out. If not, no worries. Just check out the information. Hopefully it helps you out. With all that being said, I want to get to my guests. I am very fortunate enough to have met this brother at Hardwood Palace, and he's an official, and his background, his resume is very cool, very extensive. He played the game at the highest level. He won an NBA championship, and we'll get all into that. But he is someone who is really cool vibe, really chill brother. Talks to everybody, real approachable, and I've asked him for a while to be on this show, and our schedules finally aligned to where he's now could be here for a little while and drop some knowledge. But without further ado, I want to introduce my guest, Tremaine Fowlkes.
Yes, I'm in the building. I appreciate it, man. we finally got through.
Yep.
And we are here finally, and it's a pleasure to be here. I haven't been on this location site in about 9 months, so
yeah.
Brought back some memories coming back here, Hardwood, and it's been fun. So glad to touch up upon the location that was paying me a couple dollars to ref some games. I did it for the kids. I do it for both though. I got bills too. So.
Right, exactly, man. I want to break down your basketball resume a little bit. Obviously, this is the stuff I found online. You could obviously fill in the gaps for me in between. So I'm gonna talk to you guys mainly what's mainly online, his NBA career and his collegiate career. So it says you were a small forward, drafted out of Fresno State.
Yes,
correct?
That was correct. I was a small forward slash power
forward,
okay. with which was a tweener then, but it's definitely a position that has assumed a lead role, for example, a Draymond Green.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
That what I was a small forward at Cal, and then a power forward at Fresno, then a small forward back in the NBA. So
Okay.
you just got to be prepared to play your role however you need to do to survive and stick at the highest level possible. So they need you to do one thing, just do that one thing really, really well. And that's one thing that I could tell kids and young adults, boys, however, just, you don't have to be all around when you get to the league.
Mm-hmm.
Just have one thing and do it well.
Okay.
And specialize in that.
Yeah.
And it can take you a long ways.
I'm glad you're saying that because I preach this as a coach, you know what I mean? And again, I just made it overseas. I didn't, make it to the league, but it's it's funny how you try to preach this to the kids.
Too,
well, thank you. I appreciate that.
That ain't no walk in the park. That's actually a lot of those places are just as hard or maybe even tougher in the NBA, just having to survive on somebody's soil.
Yeah.
That's not yours and you don't own nothing there.
Exactly.
But yourself. Okay. So,
I'm sure you
we
know
got some
plenty of
stories
cats.
for that, too. Yeah, we all got some overseas stories.
So you played for the Clippers 2 seasons, correct?
Played for the Clippers 2 seasons. Dunleavy got rid of everybody, brought in some of his people, which is rightfully so. You're the head man in charge.
Right.
Played 2 years, had a ball at home, having a chance to play in front of your family and
you're from LA, so I want to break
LA.
that down for my guests too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was a blessing. Didn't have enough tickets for everybody. People just thought I automatically signed for $10 million, but it was 10,000 initially. So no, but having that pressure was kind of good too. Just know people that wanted to support you.
Yeah.
So I tried to spread the tickets evenly, but at the end of the day, it was a blessing just to be 10 miles from my house.
Yeah, and that's what I would say. I think it's every kid's dream to obviously suit up in the league and play for your hometown. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I'm a Warriors fan, even when we suck. So I got born and raised in Oakland, so I would have loved to have a
Warriors.
Warrior
days, but they've made it up significantly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over these last 10 years, I would say.
And then obviously I want to talk about in my opinion, which obviously you could break down more and more later. A big moment. You played in Detroit, right, and you won an NBA championship,
right,
and that was with the team with. Well, it's funny because I remember it obviously more clear than any of these young kids are going to remember it, but that team in particular was a team you would say didn't have a superstar. That was kind of your guys' identity. It was a well-balanced group. Yeah. You with Chauncey and Tayshaun and Rasheed, Big Ben, things like that. Would you agree that's a pretty accurate deal? Or because again, I think
it was.
I think it was one of the most well-balanced teams I saw. And I'm just curious on your perception of it because you lived it.
You're right. I think that team ball on the offense and defensive end is kind of a lost arc. When it comes to just helping each other, talking, the regular basic fundamentals that it takes to control a game, and the NBA's changed since we won in 2004, so don't get this mistaken. I might look a little young, like I can still play, but I can't. I just run north and south, no east and west.
You in good shape, bro. What you mean, man?
I stick to this. I don't go outside my element. So we rep it up and down. But, that ball was physical too. Maybe not like the bad boys of the 80s, but it was a commitment that you have to have with everybody on the same page. And that really worked for us. Nobody was bigger than the team.
Yeah.
Larry was pretty good of emphasizing that. He wasn't really my typical the type of coach I actually wanted to play for. But when he has that success and you've seen what he's done in championships, the college success, I was like, let me shut my mouth. And show them that I'm just gonna come ready to work every day.
Right.
And luckily, we didn't know that was gonna happen.
Yeah.
We definitely didn't. We made some crucial trades within that season. getting Rasheed in there and
Yeah.
Mike James and Chucky Atkins had to leave.
Yeah.
And Bob Sewell, and they were good, very
Right.
very
Yeah,
good.
I remember.
Hubert Davis was there for the having. I really had relationship with these guys because we're on the bench and we're
And like Tayshaun at that time, wasn't that like his sophomore year or something like that? Or junior?
was
I think
young.
he was pretty young.
He was
a
young,
kid,
and
yeah.
that's who I used to sub in. I used to give him a breather.
Yeah.
Tayshaun. And so I used to spell him. I used to just come in and just try to be a high energy player.
Right. Absolutely.
With limited minutes, your role has to be high energy, make an impact on the game
Mm-hmm.
while you're in there, and then come back to the bench and cheer the other guys back on.
But clearly it works. So
It worked,
I mean,
man.
you got a championship out of it, and we both know there's a lot of brothers who had great careers who couldn't even get that. You know what I'm saying? So that's clearly something that's fortunate to be a part of. I just think, I mean, that was obviously with it being the finals right now, and we'll talk more about that later, but I'm just saying it's great to have someone from your perspective kind of sit down and kind of break it all down.
Right.
So then, outside of the NBA and did you want to touch base on maybe your high school and collegiate side of things a little bit?
Well, I am, no problem. I am originally from Los Angeles, California.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a California kid forever. I went to Crenshaw. Before that, I went to a couple schools that you might not heard of. Well, one you have. Culver City, you haven't. But when we come to Westchester, I was there in ninth grade. They definitely have a rich history in basketball, along with Crenshaw and Manual Arts, which were, some city-certified high schools that had, the state and city titles to back it up.
Yep.
And once I left Westchester, I tried to say, I tried to move around and see what school would be right for me. Just me wanting to play varsity as a sophomore, knowing Westchester was going to, come back and repeat. Went to a school, I said, you know what, it's time for some elevate the competition. I didn't want to sell myself short. And that first school that came up was Crenshaw. Actually, it was the second school. Dorsey was the first school because it was closer to my house. My mom was kind of intimidated sending me to Crenshaw,
right.
knowing the history.
I mean, especially during that time.
Early 90s,
that era was
it was hectic. So, we got through that. And, that team prior to us coming here, Crenshaw, they were all seniors. So Crenshaw really had to, reload.
Yeah.
And they needed to do it fast, not knowing that all of us would be coming from different areas. Chris Johnson coming from Montclair Prep, myself coming from Culver City, a couple other guys coming from Westchester, Compton High, LA High. So it was just it was a nucleus that gelled right at the right time.
That's cool.
And with a growth spurt from myself didn't hurt at the same time. I grew a couple of inches from my sophomore to my junior year, and we came with a team that happened to we had some breaks. We ended up winning some, we lost some things, but we gelled at the right time. Ended up winning city and state, and that was special for me, not even knowing what was going to happen that year.
Yeah,
and just us fighting through some, just showing a grit. We were very gritty, and that happened to work for us at the end of the day.
That's what's up.
And we came out with a city and state, and everybody played their role. And coaches did a great job, and we ran a mean press called the Rover defense. We'll trap you on the sidelines. We'll just egg you in and making that pass on the sideline, and we'll trap you. And that ended up getting a lot of teams rattled. And we used to beat teams by 70 points. So it was an experience that I sometimes thinking to stay in the zone, like, that was really nice. Really great experience. How we had to just go out and give it your all. And a lot of kids just, these days you don't get to see that as much. And just to see that and wanting to see that more these days from kids, go until you get tired, get your break and come back in.
Right.
Don't think that you have to save yourself, for the fourth and third quarter. If you feel you got to save yourself to get in shape, work out and be able to see. We ran offense and defense. The ball would change so quick. So you had to be in shape. We used to run the beaches in the sand. So I know in Sac we don't have no sand, but that's not that's not an excuse. It's enough stadiums up here. Sac City, you know, Sac. Run these stairs, man. go get your legs right, man. Sit on the wall at the house and do some squats. Right. You know, there's a lot of things. Excuse. Right, no excuses. A lot of things you can do without anybody looking at you. That's where the real true winners are made of. Do stuff when nobody's watching.
I love that, man. So then I wanted to talk about your experience. So, of course, okay, so update you guys as well. He's an official now, like we alluded to earlier, a referee. And, you know, I want his perspective for sure on that because there's been a lot of just crazy stories with officials as of late, especially the past few months. I've seen a lot of stories. I'm sure you might have heard and seen some yourself. So we'll get into that more. But, you know, from your lens of, I mean, I'm assuming you played AAU basketball at some point or, you know, right? Yeah, of course. So from playing it, being around it, and now officiating it, you know, when you do, because, you know, I know for you, man, you mainly want to get to that collegiate side and beyond, right? But I'm just saying, what do you see? What is your, like, what would you take the pros and the cons of AAU basketball as it currently sits, if you had to assess it?
Well, I mean, I've been a coach, been a ref, been a parent, and every position can be stressful. Parents, I feel they make it more stressful by putting themselves into it so much. You know, you have to let the kids grow, and it might have to be at a time where, hey, these AAU tournaments are just for the players and coaches, just to get a wake up call from some parents that. Just to overemphasize, like, who's in charge at the end of the day.
Okay.
And but, you know, I don't want to take away from the parents that are good. There's some great parents out there who are very supportive.
I want to say, if you had to, because I talk about on the show too, I do believe it's more good parents than bad, but it's just the bad ones are the loudest, right?
It's the few that kill it off for everybody else. But so I don't want to disregard the great parents that make these tournaments fun, you know, making sure the kids are well ate, they getting the proper rest, and they're being the parents that the kids want to see, and not only the kids, the coaches want to see, and the refs.
Right.
So it makes our jobs easier too. And being a ref has been a very interesting journey for me, but it's been fun too. Good. Knowing everything that's going to happen. You know, if it's only my third year, I'm looking to elevate into college. This year I'll be going to some more college camps down in LA and Vegas, and seeing what the future has to offer.
Okay.
It's definitely something that I didn't think about doing. Somebody would say, "Hey, Trey, you think about reffing when you get out from playing professional ball?" Would have looked at him like
right,
on,
like
knock it off, bruh. No zebra suits and all that for me. But you look down the road and I'm wearing it, and I'm wearing it great with grace and happy. You know,
you have a great attitude, bro. You really do.
I love it, just the contact the impact I can have on kids, coaches, and parents. You know, some of these, you know, people just know me from just seeing me on TV.
Yeah.
And now it's like I'm here, and a lot of stories is, you know what, you can't talk to a lot of NBA players, ex-NBA, they're just stuck up.
Yeah.
And I always heard that, and I always made that a point to be the opposite of that. I'm always going to be approachable. You always can talk to me.
I definitely vouch for you on that because, I mean, look.
Yeah, it's going to take some time for me because sometimes I'm everywhere and I'm still adjusting and trying to, you know, cross my T's and dot my I's. You know, so I'm a work in progress, and this is a craft that I'm trying to top off and see what level I can reach. It would be great whatever level I top off. You know, I'll top off at it. But the ride and the journey have been great, and that's something that's definitely will have a forever lasting memory with me.
Nice.
Just having that journey, that goal, and that grit to keep going to see where does this end.
Yeah.
You know, so but great relationships that happen on the way to to where my journey's supposed to end, which is going to be the top. We're not going to settle for nothing less. We reaching for the top.
I feel you, brother. Well, then tell me this. I want to circle back to your NBA career and your road to that championship. Obviously, like I said, there's just not a lot of people you get to sit down and talk to and say, hey, what was it like? What was that road like? Like, the practicing, the ups, the downs, the intensity of it, the fun of it, right? The travel of it, if you had to summarize it as much as you could, obviously I'm sure you could say a lot about it, but if you had to summarize, I mean, what is your overall take and experience of getting an NBA championship? Like, because a lot of my listeners are kids, right? Aspiring athletes, things like that. And of course they want to know, like, what was that like? What did that feel like? You know what I'm saying? So just curious on what you have to reflect on that.
Winning a championship, period, is a blessing. And I had that feeling in high school, winning 2 cities and 2 states. And that moment was memorable forever. It's cherishable. And when you get an NBA, and even winning that championship, any championship you win is special.
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
an NBA championship. But what's more important is how you got there.
Yes.
For me, being a second round pick, that should have been a first round pick, getting suspended from school, from Cal, having to sit out 14 games and having to leave in Fresno State, not knowing if I should have went to the NBA or not, and going to Fresno State, sitting out a year, and then, having this documentary done on us that put a dark cloud over us, and it was just problems on my way to a championship. Then you think about when you win a championship, then you rewind. It's like you think about everything it took to get there,
Right.
And that's why I wrote this book.
I was gonna talk about that too.
From the shawl to the chip, and I was just waiting to do interviews so I can have something to this different, because I said I was going to be doing this, but
of course.
Once I do in the summer when it kicks off, I will be promoting that more for it's a good story for every level, every age, junior high, high school, college, and for people that's trying to find themselves after their professional career. It was tough for me because I've tore both of my Achilles, and after one, I was ready to give up. Okay, well, you in the same boat, man. We in the same line.
Right,
we definitely could share that, because it's the unknown, and seeing how far would your body give you enough to try to get 100%. It's never going to be 100%, but all you could do is to try to see what level, the highest level you could take it. And for me, it definitely was a journey for that.
Yeah,
Coming back off one, you're young, it's cool. Your second one,
Man.
night. So, I got in the league with having tore one, before. But I definitely changed the way I ate. I changed a lot of other things so I could last a little longer. And it's funny how I played those 4 years in the league, and then that 5th year I might have tore so it was a time where I was really healthy in the league and having fun, and things were just working. But I committed myself to try to make sure that I gave myself the best chance possible to survive in that league. I was one of the first players in the was the NBDL back in the day, the D League, but now it's the G League. It's a money grab. Gatorade, go ahead and get a piece of the action too.
They don't know about that. Yeah, exactly.
It's been a journey for that. Thinking, if somebody told me once I signed with Cal would I ever be playing in a D League, I'm like, what?
Right.
I'm gonna be a lottery pick. So you want to think like that, but you also have to keep facing, know that your journey it will change, and just like that.
Okay.
And you have to. It's all about how you respond. You're going to go through a lot of stuff. That.
Yeah, of course.
Playing ball yourself.
Yeah, of course.
It's just all about how you respond to the adversity.
Yep.
And man, I'm telling you, I had enough adversity for me to laugh and then cry it all, to cry but laugh it all off once you get to your destination. That's some things out there. We all gonna have those moments, but
Exactly.
when you can succumb to when you can just go about the pressure and say, hey, this is what I made. I'm built for this. Things just you want that challenge to get get going a little bit,
like
get that
that, man.
momentum going. You
I like
know?
that.
So
All right. Well, good. Well, we talk. Well, let me slow down my thoughts. But no, I really think it's cool, your journey overall, man. Just getting to know you and how, I say, your overall attitude, just like what you alluded to, like, cause I know guys, like I have friends of mine who played in the league and stuff like that. Like Robert Swift's a good friend of mine, and someone I went to high school, he won a ring with the Celtics, Leon Poe.
Oh yeah, Cal.
Yeah,
I'm gonna know everybody that went to Cal.
And he's he's younger than me, a couple years younger, but he's
Nice
in
ball
Boston
moves.
working for the Celtics right now and stuff. But it's like
yeah.
but I've definitely talked to parents who's kind of alluded to what you said, where it's like trying to talk to an NBA guy. It's like it can be very difficult, right?
Mm-hmm.
and I try to tell parents both sides of it, right? I said, well, some of these guys, like for instance, Peja Stojakovic, when he would come up here, because his son goes to school out here, he goes to Jesuit, and sometimes he would play at Hardwood. It's like, you got to keep in mind, when this dude walks in the gym, a million people want to either take his photo or ask him a question.
It could be a little overwhelming.
It's overwhelming.
And he's a little different too. He's
Yeah.
a sack legend when it comes to the Kings. They're at
Exactly.
their best. You know, we played them a couple times. I was with the Clippers, of course.
Right.
So yeah, you definitely understand that. So I'm like that different type of, that small, rare percentage where, I was a high school Southern Cali legend, but then came up to Cal. So a lot of people know, then left to Fresno. So they see, then they don't, and then they see, they're like, he looks like KG. He looks like this guy.
Right.
Somebody told me, man, you look like what's the guy from Milwaukee? Porter. What's his?
Porter's. I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah.
I said, wow. Give me another one, man. So I've never know what to expect when it comes to people and seeing how they, because I had that face, that look, and I look like a hooper.
Yeah, you do. You got the hooper look.
I say Tremaine Fowlkes, and Cal. So a lot of people remember me from Cal, not Fresno.
Right.
Fresno is just a small school in Central California that was coached by Jerry Tarkanian, his alma mater. So if you know Jerry, he won the championship with UNLV. Mm-hmm. In the early 90s, I believe it was 90 or 91.
Yeah. And he created the Amoeba defense and all that stuff.
Amoeba, there you go.
All
we used
that
to run that, bam.
So I wanted to talk to you about with the new way of college and just your thoughts on it, because obviously we went to college at a time when you weren't making money like that, and now these athletes with the NIL deal, where basically they can make money, right? Mm-hmm. College athletes can make money, and you have the transfer portal, which, again, it's just a whole new animal that they're trying to maneuver and figure out. You got any thoughts or any opinions on any of that stuff?
Well, just for the kids that's take advantage of this. We didn't have any of this.
We have none of this.
I paid the price for both. You want a transfer, I had to sit out a year. Now you can be eligible and transfer, be eligible that following year. Yep. Not us not getting paid. I had to go outside my realm of people to get paid and be taken care of, which wasn't the best decision, but you see these decisions that come back to help the kids later on in the future. So I paid the price, was suspended 14 games, but both of those situations you can clearly see had an effect on me when I was in college. So it's good to get these kids some money. You make enough off of them. So we're not saying get them millions, but you do separate who's bringing in who is the most marketable on the team on down. So you can't be giving the last man on the bench the same as your,
true,
top,
no doubt about that.
Your number one recruit. So, they definitely, it's still some things that need to be figured out, but at least off top, reward these kids for what they bring to the university.
Yeah.
And that right there is fair. And you got to give Ed O'Bannon a lot of credit. Ed O'Bannon was the one who actually brought up this situation. He's a Pac-10. Well, we're gonna say Pac-12 partner of mine, he rivals, and they won that championship.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely, man.
So yeah, shout out to Ed. You know, they won a championship, and UCLA definitely got millions and millions from them winning. And I know that at the end of the day, he saw once he was out the league, and he saw his face still on the cover of these 2Ks, these games.
I remember all that. They did
like,
the whole thing on that.
Something's got to change, or let me bring it up and see if it'll change in the future. Not knowing that will have as much impact as it does now. When he said it, you never would think that it would come to this now, because it's still just kind of up in the air. Yeah, she get paid, but now they're actually going to get paid.
Yeah, they get to.
That's a blessing. So big ups to everybody for the NCAA's kind of allowing that to happen.
Yeah,
so,
you got you got some kids making some major money, and as they should, like you said, as they should, because NCAA is a very interesting business.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get
right.
with them. So right now they're at least listening.
Yeah. So then, before we get into some of the other hot takes and everything like that, when you said, when you were in the league, you decided to focus and change your lifestyle. I mean, even prior to those things, in high school and college, I mean. Let's be real. You got to get some genetics on your side, right? We're tall, like you got, have some natural athleticism, but you got to put in work, right? You got to put in work. You got to work on your craft, like you said, play your role. Have kind of the stars align and everything work out. But I'm just saying, how dedicated were you, or once it really clicked for you, like, okay, I'm gonna focus in and make this happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I really didn't focus in until after college, when I said I don't want to work right now, a regular job. I just need to focus in. And when you have a lot of talent, sometimes that takes the place of you working out, but that only lasts so long.
Absolutely.
And when I saw that, I said, okay. And at the same time, you got to see, I stayed in school 4 years from transferring and having to sit out, and everybody's passing me up, and everybody's in their second, third year in the NBA and ready to re-up. And I'm over here just trying to, scrape the bottom of professional sports, period, basketball, trying to get a job, period, So that was a reality check. And then I definitely had to tell myself, hey, some things that have to change, seeing guys re-up for contracts before you even get in there was definitely a humbling experience. But I would tell kids, just pick your friends wisely, and not saying you have to, go out and handpick anybody, but choose people that are doing the same thing as you, that won't throw you off from going to work out and say, oh, I want to do this. Oh, Trey, come here with me real quick.
Right.
You want friends that's going to push you to the gym. You want friends that's going to say, hey, Trey, hey, John, hey, Steve, hey, finish this, and then, we can do this. You want people to commit to what you're doing. And if they're going to be committed to you, then don't let them go neither. You don't want to let the good ones go, but you definitely want to put people in their place so they know, what level of seriousness you're on, and they can and it won't be a problem, and people going to surprise you and say, hey, let's go work out and lunch on me. When they see, your focus, other people would tend to gravitate towards you to help you out instead of kind of not being a distraction, or, it would, but people have other stuff to do. So you just want people that's kind of doing the same thing or want to help you, push you to your goals.
I like that.
And that would be my advice for the high schoolers right now. Definitely junior high school, because the influence is big right now.
Yeah. And
I'm like, man, parents, we definitely got to stay on their kids, but we not around them 24/7. So the influence is a lot of times outside our doors, our home, So you definitely want them to be in the same. You definitely want them with kids that's on the same level.
Right. I like
that. He's on fire.
I like that, man. So
we got the little scratch mix in there,
of course,
huh?
man.
I like that.
Well then. I guess, like I said, last thing I did want to allude and talk about that more before we move on to everything else was your book. You know, you like you said, you came out with a book. I saw you just recently put it online, right? So I just, you know, if you wanted to put it out there and let people know about it, let them check it out. I wanted you to talk about it, or, you know, just say, hey, here's my book. Check it out if you want.
Well, look, I'm glad you said that. Thank you for that. The book, y'all, are we just audio or are we recording too?
We recording this. It's all, yeah.
We've been recording this whole time?
Yeah, we recording,
I
bro.
would have been, if I would have been interviewing like this, from the shawl to the chip.
We recording the whole time, bro.
Oh, it's all good from the shawl to the chip, man. So from the shawl to the chip, from Crenshaw to the championship, not only with Crenshaw, but with Detroit, you know, tapping out at the NBA at the highest level.
Yeah.
You know, that's a story. You know, I had the crazy part about this is, you know, I got a shirt too for you too that I got to press up, but I got it all. So
I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it.
I got you. One thing about this story was I wrote this book 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. No computer, just notepad, pen and notepad. Had about 4 binders. Had about 4 of them.
Yeah.
Took it to L.A., had a box with my videotapes and everything. Make a long story short, it got stolen out the car.
Oh, damn.
I lost energy to just, somebody steals a book, you're not going to be like, oh, no problem. Let me just come right. I'll just write a whole one tomorrow.
And that's your life, man. Like, you're reflecting on your life. Yeah.
He took that took a lot out of me. And after that, I focused on other things. But God is good. He came full circle around. And one thing that people you'll tap into your inner self sometimes at your lowest point. Mm-hmm. I would say during that pandemic when you're feeling like you're confined to spaces and you can't leave.
Yeah.
And, you know, they tell you stay in the house.
Yeah.
You're not in a mansion no more, so you're in a little 2 or 3 bedroom apartment.
Right.
Things get small, you know, for a guy my stat 6. So I'm like, oh man, so I'm. You know, you only can go outside so many times and walk around the block. And I said, you know, I need to put my mind at ease on something that I need to let off my chest. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what, let me tell this story again. I'm always telling people about the Kobe Bryant story. They want to know about this and that.
Yeah.
Detroit, they want to know about Chauncey. If I'm in Detroit, if I'm in with the Clippers, they want to know about Lamar Odom.
Right, of course.
Elton Brand. So a lot of players, not only me, I've been around a lot of people that other people want to know about.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I said, why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone? So I wrote this book. It'll be out this weekend.
Nice.
If you want to get some more detail, tap in to my IG at Trey Fowlkes.
And I will have links attached to the description on YouTube and on the audio side to his social media and to his book and things like that. So, you know, download it, check him out, check out his journey. You guys you'll get all that information.
Yeah, he'll take care of you. You already know you're on point, baby. So definitely it's been a blessing. And once I promote this book, mm-hmm. I'm really going to get into the other book that I wrote, which is called More Than a Champion. Mm-hmm. That hits the mental awareness sector of athletes, and especially for retired basketball athletes such as myself that sometimes hit a brick wall, you know, and have to find an outlet for them to survive and be able to have an impact. You know, a lot of players don't have impacts after they leave the game.
You're right.
And a lot of stress and mental, you know, they're just not in a good place.
People forget we're human sometimes, man.
Right?
You know what I mean? They definitely forget that we got bills and shit. We got kids. We got life. It's just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
All of that. Yeah, exactly. You hit it right on the nail. So for me, that didn't make a lot of money. I had to adjust, you know, with life after basketball. Mm-hmm. And had to go back to school somewhat, and you know, I had to finish out my credits. You know, a person that's changed degrees. You know, I mean, I've changed majors. 2-3 times. So you know, it's been a journey, but I'm here full circle to give what I know and my knowledge out to the game that once brought me a lot of success.
Mm-hmm.
And when it doesn't bring you a lot of success, you kind of push the game away and don't want to have nothing to do with it. And that's typical for an average athlete sometimes when they don't get the career that they wanted. I feel like that too. Sometimes you're mad at the world, but you have to spend some time by yourself and kind of meditate and kind of try to and find yourself and see what you really want to be, position you want to be put in or find yourself in.
That.
And it was a blessing that I did. It wasn't anything that I said I was always going to ref, but now I see my impact and what I can have on this game in a different way that I ever could imagine being away from the game and dribbling the ball. And this is something that I said, hey, I'm going to try to work this till the wheels fall off.
Nice. Well, you guys check that out. Like I said, links for that will be in description. And, well, I want to move on to the hot takes because we got some good, fun stuff to talk about and react to. So definitely want you guys to stay tuned for that one. So got hot takes. The first one I want to talk about, a lot of people might know, obviously, hopefully everyone knows. It's the finals going on right now. It's the Warriors, Boston. Draymond has been a very interesting character this whole playoffs and finals, and I'm not mad at it. You know what I mean? He's holding on to his 15 minutes, and he's making it happen. You know, the thing I wanted to talk to you about, because you've played in the game and at those levels, and I don't know if you saw when he said this take, but he talked about the 80s and the 90s era and how it's always compared. And I think your era is a very interesting era because the early 2000s was kind of that in-between transition era, you know what I mean? So I think your perspective's very unique in that regard because the 80s was its own thing. We know that, there was the Bird, the Showtime Lakers, all this. At the 90s, Jordan, right? It just was Jordan. And then you go to the early 2000s, Shaq and Kobe era, you know what I mean? You were in and that's when, AI and, arguably one of the best draft classes and all those fun barbershop talks. But, he said, everybody says like, oh, we couldn't play in the 80s and 90s because of the physicality. And then he said, you weren't the one that was going to knock me out. Like, it's like someone else was going to knock me out. It wasn't going to be you. And then, of course, he said, well, you can't play in our era because you have to be more skilled. Obviously, Stephen Curry has changed the game. The three-point shooting, there's so many analytics. We just know the game is so different. We know this. I was curious your thoughts on kind of all that, the errors and the comparing the errors and all the talk and all that stuff. What do you see?
This era is the most interesting era. Of course, as time goes, things get more and more interesting. I thought our era kind of was an era that we made an era of being ourselves and changing the culture. We changed the culture, and AI was a big part of that.
Yeah.
When I say culture, the dress codes and tattoos.
Yes.
Our era was more of that, hardcore, just rock with it type of just style. And, and that's, had to come to an end when David Stern said, we got to start dressing. You guys got to start dressing the part. And I understood that because, we were that generation was kind of taking the league by storm.
Yeah.
And a lot of old players didn't kind of feel that, how that transition was happening so fast. So, I'm like, hey, I'm with it too. So I started getting tattoos. I said, I make the second year, I'm gonna get them right with AI. So AI inspired me. I said, but let me make sure I got a guaranteed contract before all these tattoos because everybody didn't have tattoos at that time in the NBA. So I was just loving tattoos, and this, that was an NBA thing right there, was just trying to be noticeable with your physical appearance and look. These days, the game has changed, very stylish kids, very talented kids.
Yes.
The game is changing with bringing the overseas talent in. They're bringing more and more overseas talent, which doesn't give a lot of guys that have put in that college work the best opportunity. But if they're going to start adding teams to the G League and getting teams with guys from the United States opportunities, I'm definitely with it. I would like to see another league. I would like to see another league out in the States. It's a lot. Basketball's at its highest right now for, the point for people to elevate the game is making billions of dollars. The market is crazy right now.
You're right.
For basketball. And, we've seen guys like, we've seen the JBL.
But that was for the boy.
yeah, that was just for him. But if you could see that started that quick, whenever you actually put a real league together and be solid, and guys can at least make 50,000.
Yeah.
Nothing. When I was in the G League, I was getting paid. It was a 12, 15, 18. So you were a player level C, you're getting 12, B, 15, A, 18. I mean, you couldn't even get yourself an apartment. That's
You still had to work a job. And went overseas.
You had to leave. If you knew your team wasn't going to playoffs, your thing was to go overseas. Go to Philippines, go to China, Japan, and get some money. So I just like to see them just put some effort like they do in the NBA to other aspects of the game and getting it more global, away from the NBA. Just give some other opportunities for these guys that can't go overseas neither. I just like to see expand.
Another league would be nice.
Yeah, if we see the big three for 5 years. Come on, you tell me you can't start another league.
I agree with that.
If we giving big three all this pub, and it's just a big three. These guys is 50 years old. They my age. And 40 years old. I need a ref in that league, matter of fact. Let me call my publicist, and But anyway, I like to see that. I would like to see them expand and give some of these guys some opportunities. So
it was funny. Joe just texted me. Funny enough, your championship was today. That's what he said. He just texted me. Ball His Life said this was your team.
Oh wow! Yeah.
It's real.
Wow, that was a year ago today. Huh?
Yep. 18 years. That's funny, man. I didn't even realize that, but yeah, it was today. Wow. 18 years ago. 18 years ago today.
Well, that time flies.
Yep. You guys beat the Lakers super team.
Came up on the championship ring that year, and not even knowing that broke up the Lakers, and the rest is history.
Yeah, man, that's
rest
crazy.
In peace, Kobe. I love him. He was one of the only cats that actually came up to me after the game, and said, "Congratulations, you finally made it." He's got some history with having my jersey on, which is part of the story. When he was played on Moesha, he was the character Hightower at Crenshaw. Yeah. With that 44, which was my number, and so he had some tie-ins, and knew about the Crenshaw history, and for him to actually come up to me after a game in Bakersfield, Lakers and Clippers always play their preseason games in Bakersfield, and for him to, I'm talking to moms, and him to come up to me and say, congratulations, you finally made it. I'm like, oh, thanks, Kobe.
That's
I
great,
appreciate
man.
it. Like, keep working.
Yep.
And I'm the older one. Kobe's the youngest, but he's been already there.
Right. That's true,
It's 96, and this was in 2002. Kobe already been in the league 6 years.
Yeah, man.
So
that's crazy.
he was a youngster in age, but he was a gangster old man when he on that court. So,
we all know that.
Props
brother.
and much love to Mamba, man.
Of course, rest
Yes,
in
sir.
peace always. I want to talk about the NBA right now with the Warriors in Boston. That series is obviously I feel that this playoffs and this finals has actually been a good year of basketball. You know what I mean? It hasn't been, of course, there's been some lopsided games and things like that, but overall, it's just had a good atmosphere and feel. You know what I'm saying? And do you have? I mean, for you, it's always funny when especially with NBA players, because you guys know it. But do you have a favorite team? Are you a Laker fan? Are you still Clippers fans that you played for them? Are you just kind of a player fan at this point?
That's pretty much. I'm always going to root for my California teams.
Okay.
Of course, I'm gonna go with Detroit, the Clippers.
Right.
I didn't play with Indiana long enough for me to just ride with them like that. But I am a Cali boy, so I'm always gonna go for the Kings, the Lakers if they in the playoffs.
Okay.
Definitely the Warriors, Clippers.
Nice.
But I just like to see good basketball. And you asked me, I want all the playoff games to go 7 games.
Yeah,
I want to go 3-3 and the last man standing wins.
Yeah.
Just being in that situation and seeing it all. I want the fans to get their full money's worth too. I want it to go all the way to the end, let everybody rest after the season is over. But this is good basketball. It's definitely exciting to see some of this magic happen out there, with these group of guys.
Yeah.
And seeing some guys represent where you once stepped on the same floor as, they did with Jalen Green being an ex-Cal guy. And just seeing the growth of players, as far as Tatum.
Yeah.
It's even good to see Peyton.
Yeah, Barry Payton Jr. Yeah, I'm a huge
Jr. balling,
fan of his story and his journey.
Right,
You know
I
what
love
I mean?
stories, and maybe when he see and read my book, it might inspire him to do a book because I want to know a lot of guys' stories that I don't that I'm interested in. That you watch play and say, oh, he finally there, just like people tell me, he finally there. Well, that finally means there's a story behind that.
Exactly,
story comes with that. So I'm not the only story. I know that I'm a inspire a lot of people because once I was inspired, I kept hearing. You're always going to hear that talk of what you inspired of. Because it's the energies in the air. So once I say I'm going to write a book, I'm hearing books here, books there, books. I read this, I read that. So the energy's going to come around. And I like to hear a lot of stories. And I might have to ask guys stories I want to hear, have to try to, help them write that.
Right.
So that might be, creating their own source of income for myself by getting these other guys to get these stories out here, man.
You're right.
I want to hear a lot of stories, and I might just have to go out and reach and pull them in and create some.
Well, you're a part of that brotherhood, so that helps give you that insight. It's like, that's a huge reason why I created this podcast, was simply just to get people, my guest stories out, but also show how basketball is really like a universal language. And on top of that, because I'm mainly talking to kids and youth and parents in AAU, and the bulk of AAU basketball is honestly a lot of parents and kids that don't know the journey. You know what I mean? Because that's what I think is the most important part, is the journey. And because a lot of people, this is how I describe it anyway, a lot of people look at athletics and mainly basketball, and mainly say basketball and football, they look at it in a very mountain type of view, and this is what I mean. They're at the bottom of the mountain. They see the top. They forget there's a mountain. You know what I mean? They just see the top. They're like, oh, that's going to be me. They forget there's a mountain. Whether you go up the mountain slow or whether you go up that fast, it's still a mountain.
It's still there.
And so that's how I like to give people stories like yourself, because you guys can tell them, give a little bit of insight, like, okay, this was my journey. This is the steps that I took, the good, the bad, and what helped me get there, And do you need a little bit of luck, a little bit of this, right timing, things, going your way, put in work, athleticism, speed, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on. There's a bunch of variables. But I just think it's good knowledge for people to know. So, I more or less, the superstars, the LeBron James, the Kevin Durant's, the Russell Westbrook's, the list goes on. The superstars, their stories are always going to be out there, right? But those are the special ones, you know what I mean? The truly Kobe Bryant's, the truly special ones. But everybody has a story, right? And I always felt I wanted, if I had the opportunity, I wanted to provide that platform. You know what I mean?
That's good. No, that's very impressive. I give you a lot of props. Big ups to you on that. And that's part of the whole process. The media always wants to know what's going on with the hierarchy guys, and they just want to follow them through the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are so many stories that are missing. You know, if you look at me, I might have made $1 million or $2 million, but you look at Delonte West, who's made a lot, so they're gonna follow his ups and downs. And it's while you following all his downs, there's so many other players that are on the way up from coming down. You know, and those are stories that I'm trying to get people out there to listen. You know, I'm just a small percentage. You know, I'm just a story, but it's a lot of guys' story like is similar to mine.
I agree.
And this is just this will make the landing, you know, from, you know, adjusting to life after basketball a little, you know, it'll be a little bit more smoother. So that's what I'm trying to do, man. I'm just trying to change the narrative a little bit so it won't be so much shell shock, you know, when, you know, reality hits, and just to have the right people in your corner when it comes down to it. So everything that I've been through it twice, 3 times, and forever. So
I appreciate that big time. I want to do a quick video reaction. I have a video from TYT Sports, which is the Young Turks. They're a independent YouTube news channel or whatever, but it's because I wanted to switch gears and talk about referees being attacked or, you know, violence against officials and all the fighting and stuff like that. I mean, let's, you know, a couple of things before you saw it. It's like a little quick 4-minute video, but you know, this is more for the audience out there, those listening. You know, most people ain't gonna attack you. Let's just keep it real here. You for one, you got a great attitude. 2, you're a 6'8" brother. It's just, again, most people ain't looking to fight 6'8" brothers. But we do know parents. There's some dads and just some parents out there that take things way too far. And again, let me also make this disclaimer that I'm in this, and people who've been watching the show and know the show, I do think that's the minority. That is not the majority of people, but they are out there, unfortunately. I just, I hate to see it. You know what I mean? Like, you just hate to see it because it's just turning, it's making the jobs scarce. It's making kind of a huge resentment. Officials are feeling like, you know, is this worth it? Things like that. Even like officials who've been doing it, you know, 15, 20 years, things like that. Man, high quality officials. They're just like completely turned off from, you know, wanting to deal with youth. You know, they'll still deal with high school, varsity high school, college level, and obviously beyond. But we really need, you know, we really need them more in youth because youth dominates as far as the sheer numbers. So I wanted you to check out this video, kind of react to it a little bit, give your thoughts on it, and give your perspective. So I'll play it for you real quick. So that's the video. You're going to see they're talking at first. And then basically this dad starts videotaping this ref, and they just, it gets from one thing to another. He said something to him.
At an AAU game in the state of Indiana, a brawl broke out on the court.
It was in Indiana, so I figured he might. It's a women's game, too.
Oh, wow.
Slams him on the ground.
Yeah, that's unfortunate right there.
Obviously, they separate him after that.
After a referee gets taken down UFC style, all combatants are separated. It was a wild scene that we have unfortunately taken in one too many times. Brawls breaking out at youth sporting events, ticked off parents, frustrated referees, a feeling of animosity with kids just wanting to compete. Here's the backstory via local media. The altercation occurred at the Prime Midwest event at the Pacers Athletic Center during a game between Baylor basketball and Indiana Elite. Baylor trailed 34-12 with 16 seconds left in the first quarter when its coach began arguing with the referee over a call. The ref issued a technical foul, at which time the coach told her team to pack their bags and leave, despite the game being in the first quarter. And as you can see, the game had just begun with, at the time of the slap, as it said previously, 16 seconds remaining in the opening frame. Meanwhile, as the team decided to leave the floor, the referee continued to make his case with the team as a spectator appeared within feet of the referee, taking video in the referee's face. It's unclear whether the spectator said anything, but the video shows the referee punching the spectator, which prompts a Baylor player to come at the ref, throwing punches. Another spectator joins to attack the referee, who is then flipped and lands on the court as the player continues to punch him. It appears to show the man in green allegedly did say something. However, does it warrant this referee acting the way he did in response? Of course not. No. The man with the cell phone video then body slammed the official on the court, which allowed multiple people, including the player, to get a few more shots in on the ref while he was down before others came to the official's defense and separated the bunch. The event staff removed the involved parties from the remainder of the tournament and will not welcome them back to future events. Management at Pacers Athletic Center said in a statement, "We are disappointed that this altercation happened as we strive to provide a great experience for families." The center's statement added that the altercation happened during a third-party event company's tournament that was hosted in our building.
So, yeah. What do you think about all this craziness going on with officials and stuff like that? I mean, obviously it's bad. I just think it's all around bad. But, there's obviously layers to it, even in that instance, a guy videotaping and then the ref slapping him. He hit him first, no doubt, but you could clearly see the dude said something to him. It's just, I don't know. It just, what's your take of all this crazy?
It's been a little while ever since the pandemic hit, and, we just got a lot of people stressed out before they even come to the game, so that's no excuse. I'm not going to let that be the main reason and give them an excuse for that. But parents, have to understand that they got to protect the kids as first before anything, and that's just making sure, and I'm talking about injury, just making sure the game is played the right way, the kids are not talking smack. If anybody's injured, we are making sure we are it's safety first, and making sure we just have a clean game.
Yeah.
And stop worrying about the little things that get blown out of proportion to be big things. I mean, it looks like refs need security sometimes at these places, but if this calls for whoever has to fund for security at locations, then that's what it has to come to, just to make sure things are protected. But it's unfortunate. I've posted things on my page, and said refs need security, and it's not the first, it won't be the last time, but it can be controlled to a certain extent, and that's going to take people to speak up, the AAU organizations, and the organization's going to have to come together and say, hey, we want this type of game to be ran. We have to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And that would be good to see some change in the right direction and wanting to protect the kids, because once the parents and the refs get into it, I mean, you're just leaving the kids open to happen where you don't know what's going to happen. So we push them to the side to do some grown-up beef. We too old for that right now, and we got to put our emotions to the side and just get back to the regular, just play a good hard-nosed game of basketball, just like when we were playing outside before AAU, being on a blacktop all day. Wasn't no parents and no refs, and
you just played.
You played, and you had to handle your own beef, and it wouldn't get too far out of hand because everybody's just so competitive. You just wanted to win and go home, eat, and go to sleep. It's different now these days. Hopefully, things can change. I'm always optimistic, and seeing some change, and I'm always going to push for, a better situations than what it is right now. So I
agree with you, man. Like, let me ask you this: Do you think when things like that get out of hand, is that a reflection? Because, like, I can only say for myself, I'm very big on my teams and my parents being a reflection of my organization, things like that with YBA, and me, me being director, co-director, whatnot. And at this point, people are like, you're the face of YBA, blah, blah. I don't really worry or get into all that. But I'm just saying, like, when I take my teams to events, I try to make sure my parents understand, like, hey, we act in a certain way, even if it gets heated and competitive. We don't, don't badger officials. Hey, you can disagree with them, or, say, oh man, that's okay. Like, leave it at that. Shut up. But you know what I mean? Like, I really am on my parents and kids to hold themselves in a professional way, right? Because what I'm thinking is, if I'm teaching him this at 4th and 5th grade, when he's in high school, about to get hopefully recruited by a college, he will have all the necessary skills and know the way to act, and the parents will know the way to act, to where this kid doesn't compromise his potential opportunity, right? He or she's opportunity. Do you think coaches need to take more accountability when their parents or these type of things happen? Well, especially for the organizations.
Yeah, everybody. If you're grown up, you got to take some type of responsibility. So it doesn't have to do with one person. Everybody has to, put their 2 cents in, and try to make this thing work. It's just everybody has to have input in a positive way, and bring forth change for the better. Yeah.
Well, then, what I wanted to talk to you about was if you had any thoughts on this one, because this is always a hotbed topic. Kids reclassing, right? It's a huge thing going on right now. You got a lot of kids, parents reclassing their kids. I mean, you have, there's literally 16-year-olds in the 7th grade and stuff at this point. And my whole take, I've been very consistent on this. Hey, teach his own. Everyone has their own journey. I can't tell you what is right or what's wrong. I just think it's a slippery slope. Let me just put it like that, because, this is like a scenario I brought up. Your kid is now a 20-year-old sophomore, junior, right? And he wants to holler at a 15-year-old freshman, but they're in high school.
Oh,
but I see, what I mean? Like that's where it gets dangerous. You know what I'm saying? And just how the physical body's like when you have these 15, 16-year-olds playing in 7th grade going against these 13-year-olds, they get legit hurt. A kid, because there's just so much physically bigger and stronger. Of course, you're anomalies where you got some kids who just have man bodies like a LeBron James at age 14, 15. But nowadays it's so common. It's borderline dangerous to me. And I say, hey, if you got to reclass your kid 1 year because of academic reasons and because maturity reasons and all that, that's fine. I just don't. I don't know. I don't see at the collegiate level, all the most dominant players are like these 22-year-old reclasses that were held back 3 times and all that stuff. I just don't see the overall benefit of it. So I just think if you do it, just do it for the right reasons. That's all. So I didn't know if you had any thoughts or anything on that one.
That one's a little bit too slippery for that. I'm going to keep it real surface level and say if you're able to play – be eligible. You should be eligible in high school till you're 19. Yeah. And that's it for me. In 2021, that's just too much of eligibility for that age. But I wouldn't let anybody. They shouldn't be able to slip past 2 years. You shouldn't be at 9th and be in 12th grade age wouldn't be in 9th grade. So I would say 2 years, and that's about where I would just take it without going too far into it, would be to 2 years for, to reclassify, no more than 2 years. 16 and 18, that's about top off. 14, 16. Yeah. So I won't take it too deep there. I just wouldn't like to see them give too much, leeway to letting people reclassify after 2 years.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, man. It's just that's it. Just to me, it can be a slippery slope, but hey, to each his own. And then my last question for you: there's a lot of AAU programs popping up all over the place at this point. AAU basketball is like everybody jumping on board. You know, I want a team. You know, everybody's making teams and stuff like that. Do you think AAU basketball is kind of losing its competitive edge? Do you think it's getting so kind of opened up to where it's borderline becoming rec? Because there's some teams at some levels I just call it competitive rec. You know what I mean? It's that's what it's becoming. Because I know, again, when I played AAU basketball, and I graduated in 2001, right? So, you know, growing up in Oakland and playing at that time, it was really competitive and elite, and I'm not saying it's still not, because it is. You got the shoe circuit levels and you got all that great stuff. I'm a big proponent of AAU basketball. I'm just saying, is it becoming too big? You know what I mean? To where it's hard to distinguish what is the elite and what is just normal, average. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. It's becoming watered down. Everybody and their mama got an AAU team now, and it makes it looks like, okay, well, it's that easy,
right?
But it's really levels to this, and you know, the highest level gets put in with the lowest levels, and doesn't make any fun anymore. So I like to see them separate this some way, somehow, with teams that are, you know, the high level teams have these certain qualifications.
Yeah.
And, you know, with all these AU teams, I see about 5 levels, division levels of within one age group that really breaks down. You know,
you've seen the blowouts, man.
Yeah,
I know you've seen
just
the
not fun.
Yeah,
It's,
exactly. It's just not a good feeling.
Not for everybody. The coaches, the parents, and the refs.
Yeah.
You know, the game gets lethargic, and then you just, you know, it's like watching paint dry and score 70-13.
And nobody wants to. I hate games
they
like
gotta
that.
do a better
man.
job of classifying these teams, or they just won't be able to play outside of their city or region. I mean, well, I would say region, but, you know, it wouldn't make sense for them to go on trips. These got to be high-level trips. And hopefully AAU just won't just be about money and teams, that the actual AAU organization can come together and kind of solidify it and have some structure where we don't get all these people flying out and your whole family flying out just to see teams win by 80 and lose by 80. Like, that's not fun. And back in my day, it was very different. Everybody was competitive. And it's just because it's saturated now. It's a lot of teams. Things are being saturated. So once it's unsaturated a little bit and it dies down, it won't be so hot, and they'll have some structure and run it a different way in different regions and sections. It'll get a hold of itself. Everything kind of goes up and down. We still in a pandemic too. So
that's true. Very true.
Everybody's still trying to get, you know, grounded and try, you know, but some people just running with it since the pandemic. We want to go too on this. Let's get some people together. So it's a give and take. But from my perspective, I would just like the kids to have some fun without the input of grown-ups, you know, and don't overcoach your kid. Stop getting on your kid and being down on the first row when the coach is you right behind the coach and the team.
Right. Let the coach coach.
Let the coach coach. Leave these kids alone. Leave your son and daughter alone. Like, if I was frustrated with my son, I just walk out the gym.
Right.
You know, hey, man, let me just come, because I don't want him to see me like this. Hey, he might think I'm going to the bathroom.
Right.
So you got to make these kids and like make it think like it's not that serious. So hopefully we'll do, you know, some parents might be listening to me now and might gain some knowledge on that and listen to an NBA champion for once that's been in every situation, from a parent, a player, a coach, and a ref. You know, that's rare. That's
why I wanted you on the show. You're right.
There. So, but we'll do it again, and hopefully I can give you an update, and you. I can tell you like, okay, since I last did my first interview, was a lot of things that change for the better or the worse. So the time starts soon as we end it.
Right.
And then the next one we'll see if it was any changes made in the right direction.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, man, Trey, man, I appreciate you being here, brother. It's been a fun episode, man. Just hearing your story, man.
Man, I appreciate it. It's been great, you know, being on the show. I love it. I'm going to be back here. You know, we'll get some times settled in. We bring a couple people
Yeah,
in,
yeah,
one person
please do.
outside my camp, and y'all just continue to wish me luck, man. I'm gonna try to make this round this weekend in LA for college ref camp, and then come back up here and do some work, and then maybe ref some of y'all games and do the substitute. It don't stop. Stay blessed. I appreciate it, and let's continue to keep working with these kids, man. It's all about them.
Yep, got you. So I want to do my quick shout outs before we get out of here. Big shout out to Chad Johnson. Thank you, brother, for signing up for the Patreon account, man, supporting the show. Also, Chris Johnson and Josiah Johnson, man, shout out to you guys for supporting the show as well. Big shout out for Drifty J and Marcellus, some 2 kids I know, man. You guys are doing your thing on the YouTube basketball side, basketball content creators. Coach Tet, shout out to you, man. We got to talk about the algorithm. That's something we're going to get to, man. Trey, bro, it really was great having you here, man. And, you know, please feel free again. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Check us out. Help support the show. If not, and you just got something out of it, I hope it helps you on your journey, whether you checking me out on YouTube or the audio side. Everybody be safe out there.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Right, I'm on YouTube too, man. Follow both of us, man. Let's all come together as one, baby. Come on. Let's grow.
All right, man. Everybody be safe, and we out.